Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of Call to the Bullpen. We are bringing back the three-man booth. So first up, I am Jared Silberkleit.
And I am the best out of three co-hosts, Austin Keeney.
And that's right, baby. I am back. It's your boy, Chasey B.
Alrighty, well, we got a jam-packed episode. We've got NFL Week 4 action to recap. We have Week 5 to preview. But first up, we are going to talk some Major League Baseball because the postseason is just about underway, less than 24 hours from officially getting kick-started. But as of recording, we're recording this Monday night, October 1st. Today was game 163 for four of the top five National League teams. We had the Brewers at the Cubs and the Rockies at the Dodgers to determine both the NL Central and the NL West division titles, and the losers of those games are going to play each other in the NL wildcard game tomorrow.
And speaking of the losers of those games, we will have the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago Cubs playing for the National League wildcard spot, with the Milwaukee Brewers and the Los Angeles Dodgers moving on to the NLDS.
Now, before we get to that, let's just talk about the fact that heading into this final week of the season, I think a lot of people, given the St. Louis Cardinals' track record, were expecting them to snag one of these playoff spots, but they end up going 1-5 to close the season, and they find themselves not even playing on this day. They were eliminated on Saturday, and it's the Brewers, not the defending two-time NL Central champs, World Series champs 2 years ago, the Cubs, but the Brewers, who were able to go into Chicago behind Christian Yelich, who finished basically a home run shy of snaring the Triple Crown. He finishes 1 homer and 1 RBI short while claiming the batting title, but nonetheless, he had an MVP caliber campaign. I think most people would say he's the favorite right now.
Oh, absolutely. And he led them to this playoff opportunity that they have. And the Milwaukee Brewers, haven't been the biggest playoff contender in the last, 10 years of baseball. You really haven't heard of the Milwaukee Brewers being the biggest name in the guaranteed playoff contender, obviously with the Dodgers being, 6-time Western champions. So, it's nice to see them come in and Christian Yelich have a great season. And like you were saying, he was a home run and an RBI short. We were actually talking about earlier today. He came up 2 guys on in the bottom of I think it was 7th
Yeah,
or 8th.
it was top of the 8th.
Top of the 8th.
He was up there with 2 guys on. So
unfortunately he struck out. So, had he... I can't say, he should have hit a home run. It's not the easiest thing on the planet if he wanted to.
You could tell he was hacking for it, especially.
Oh, yeah, of course he was.
Especially with the fact that they already had the lead at that point.
Yeah, was it 2-1? It was 2-1. And then they ended up going up 3-1 on a Ryan Braun single, I believe, if I'm correct. So it was nice to see...
Think about the additions.
Have a great season, though.
Think about all the additions that Milwaukee has made. You look at the top half of their lineup now. You got Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, Ryan Braun, Mike Moustakas.
Moustakas was a huge signing.
Jesus Aguilar, who's had a phenomenal season, only overshadowed by Yelich, who's probably going to win the NL MVP. But this is a team that's just getting hot at the right time, and I think that they really flew under the radar just because they haven't been a needle mover in terms of the recent NL playoff history, and the Cubs, after winning the World Series, breaking that drought, they've kind of captured everybody's attention. So for them to go in there and claim they've got the top seed in the NL playoffs right now. The road to the World Series goes through Milwaukee at this point.
Very much so. And we should have a couple good games coming forward with these wild card games, not only in the NL but also in the AL. In the AL, who do we have in those wild card games, Jared?
Well, we got the wild card game, which we knew for quite some time. It was going to be the Yankees versus the A's, and it was really just kind of a matter of figuring out where the game was going to be played. And I think that it's huge for the Yankees to get home field advantage for this wild card game because of the way the Yankee Stadium really came alive last year in the postseason. Yankees went 6-0 at Yankee Stadium during last year's playoffs, and you can tell it's a young team, a bunch of players who last year were experiencing their first ever postseason, and that home crowd energy they fed off of it. They absolutely fed off of it. It was to the point where...
a lot of those guys have never played in the playoffs before. It was a lot of first-time players, young players, to be on that big stage, especially in a season. This season, I think there was a little bit more expectation to make and win in the playoffs, when last year there really wasn't any expectation. So the fact that they went out and they made the playoffs and actually contended highly in the playoffs was massive for them, in a huge ego boost to walk into the playoffs where no one expected them to be and perform on a level that they could have and some say should have won. So it was really nice to see, and obviously as Yankee fans, we're excited for it to not only be the Yankees in the playoffs, but also at home. I wouldn't want to go to Oakland in a one-game playoff. I'll say that
and that's the thing, having to disrupt your travel schedule like that, because you think about it, even if the Yankees were to hypothetically win that wild card game that would have been played in Oakland, you're talking about flying out to the West Coast, playing one game, and then having to fly back to Boston to start a 5-game set with just kind of, what, you got one travel day and then that's it?
Yeah, that's it. So the fact that they're going to go,
jet lag and everything,
3.5 hours northeast is not the worst thing on the planet.
Of course. So, I mean, this is a great thing for them. I think that with the Yankees finally getting healthy, getting their full lineup together with the new additions, not only their opening day lineup, but the fact that on top of course, Gleyber Torres and Miguel Andujar turned into huge players for the team this year. You've also got the emergence of Luke Voit, the addition of Andrew McCutchen. So, top to bottom, this is a lineup that if all goes according to plan, they could be the most dangerous in all of baseball in the postseason.
And the fact that they got a lot of guys back that were injured, the Judge is now back in the lineup, and he had his first home run 2 nights ago, I believe, last night, something like that, since being back from injury. You got Sanchez, who's hopefully gonna play a little bit better than he was.
He started to hit the ball a little bit in Boston, along with Stanton, who was slumping. So
yeah, exactly, and I think that comes with having all those guys back. With Stanton being, I don't want to say the only power guy, but when you lose a lot of power guys and you have Stanton in the 4 spot, guys can pitch around him because they know that they're not going to then face Sanchez. They're not going to face Judge before Stanton or Sanchez. Didi was hurt for a little while, so he wasn't in there. And I don't want to say he's the biggest power guy in the lineup, but he was definitely there.
He's got some power.
He's got some power. He's got some power to put the home runs up and put the RBIs in. So having those guys come back from injury and have them in the lineup is a massive addition going into this playoff race. And the little fiasco the other night with CeCe in Tampa Bay, I think
it lit a fire under the team.
That's exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. It lit a fire under them, and he's a veteran. He knew what he was doing. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw it, but pretty much the logistics of what happened were, guy number 1 was hit. Guy number 2 gets hit. Guy number 3 gets hit. CeCe retaliates, and CeCe lost out on $500,000 per his contract. Had he made it through the 7th inning of that game, he would have made $500,000. And a veteran guy like that, I mean, I don't want to say he doesn't need the money. Everybody needs the money, but he doesn't need the money. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he threw one straight at the first guy of the 6th inning.
It was a very selfless decision by him.
And he said, listen, the team comes first. Let me plunk this guy and get everybody up and running here. And it fired everybody on that team up. I was fired up. I wanted to fight people. It was great.
Yeah, and you know what? Even on top of that, I mean, CeCe was going to get ejected just for throwing at him at any part of his body.
There was a warning 2 innings before.
But you had to protect Romine there, because Romine, I mean, he didn't get plunked on that at bat, but the guy
threw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball right behind his ear.
The guy threw right at his head, and CeCe went low.
That's almost
leg.
Worse getting a ball thrown behind your ear than just getting hit.
Of course, yeah. No, it was something that you had to retaliate, and
100%.
Yeah, so CeCe did the right thing there, and yeah, so the Yankees are carrying expectations, but I think that they've come into the playoffs winning 9 of their last 13. So, it's going to be a massive disappointment if they lose to Oakland, but I don't envision that happening. And I guess before we cut the baseball talk, we got to talk about the other NL tiebreaker today, with the Dodgers coming out on top over the Rockies. This is kind of the reverse of the Brewers and Cubs situation, where the Rockies had been the hot team. They're coming off an 8-game winning streak, but the Dodgers, the playoff veterans, they were able to get it done at home to clinch that division title. I think that's, again, the experience of that team coming in there and what they've been prepared for the last several years, coming so close. That probably, I'd say,
the additions they made, obviously.
Yeah, the addition, with Machado and everything. So, I mean, I think with them, they probably are carrying the most expectations, the most pressure to finally get it done. Just after, when you're a perennial playoff team and you're just not winning the World Series, it's just going to put that much more on you. But the Dodgers rose to the occasion.
Yeah, so going to be an exciting couple days for us baseball fans, so check out the couple wildcard games, and then by the time we record again, we'll be halfway through the division series, so make sure you check out our next episode where we'll recap where we are at that point, and obviously what happened in the wildcard games, who's playing in the NLDS, and who we think will make through to the ALCS. So watch some baseball. It's going to be exciting for the next couple days.
Alrighty, well so that'll wrap up the baseball portion of the program, and now we are going to segue into NFL Week 4 action with our special guest host, Chase.
Yeah, if you were wondering where Chase was, he was entranced in this Denver-Kansas City game. He just didn't talk baseball at all for about 15 minutes there.
Yeah,
So
we're currently watching. The Broncos started off with a field goal, and now the Chiefs are driving inside the red zone here. So I'm gonna give you guys my full attention, but I'm definitely gonna be watching this as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of mad about this game, I'll be honest, because I sat Kareem Hunt because he hasn't been playing up to what I have high standards in my fantasy team. So I benched him. The guys I put in for him did pretty well, though. I put in Giovanni Bernard, and he put up some decent points this week, so I'm pretty happy about that. But
Yeah, I'll trade you for Hunt.
You'll trade me for Hunt?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, who you got?
I told you I'll give you Cook for him.
Yeah, I don't know about Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, he's a little hurt.
All right.
My fantasy team got absolutely butchered this week. Alyssa Cofrancesco, if you're listening, congratulations. You obliterated me by over 70 points. I wasn't counting on 10 points combined between Jordan Howard and Drew Brees, but that's the world that I'm living in right now.
You know what that means? You lost to a girl.
I did lose to a girl.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he lost to me a couple weeks ago. So
I lost to two girls.
There it is. There it is. That's right. Sarah started Ryan Tannehill, which obviously didn't go very well for her either.
And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that because this is 2018.
All right.
There's
On
no
that
shame.
note, we're going to get into our recap of the NFL week number 4 here. We have the Vikings and the Rams first. What we'll do here is we'll reiterate who we chose to win these games, and then we'll give you the results and a little bit of feedback. So myself and Jared, we both had the Rams in this game. Chase, you unfortunately had the Vikings. Real close game. Rams winning 38-31. What do you guys got thoughts for this game?
Well, yeah, I said in our pre-game analysis.
How does it feel to be wrong?
Listen, I might have been wrong about the outcome, but I was right about what happened, and it was a shootout. And Kirk Cousins came out, and they freaking were firing on all cylinders. I was feeling great about that prediction. Yeah, I mean the Rams have a lot on the offense and defensive side. They're going to be a tough team to beat. I mean they're probably the Super Bowl favorites at this point with the Patriots struggling like they are. But it was an exciting game for anybody to watch, and which is great because the Thursday night games everybody knows they're usually duds, but not so far this year.
We were skeptical going in, and I mean at least I was about the quality of the game, but it ended up being exactly the type of shootout that you would expect. I think at the end of the day, the Vikings just couldn't keep up. The Rams' offense is so multidimensional right now; they are really firing on all cylinders. I mean, let's be honest. This was a game where they got pretty much the minimum level expected production out of Todd Gurley, which is still very, very solid.
I mean, he still had over 100 scrimmage yards.
No, of course, he did great. But what I'm saying is, this is a guy who's proven that he can be a 3-down back, and they didn't need him to be that at all, and they were just fine. They still put up 38 points. Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. He's got a bevy of receiving options, and he's got, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, everybody really stepped up here, and they have been pretty much as advertised. If there's been one thing in the NFL that has gone exactly according to what people were thinking in the preseason, it's been the Los Angeles Rams. You're absolutely right. They've been the NFC.
Yeah, and even with defensive injuries, they still withheld the Kirk Cousins onslaught, So
I don't know if they withheld it as much.
They won the game.
Well, this was not
they
a game
kept up with them, but they still held them to 11 points in the second half. So I mean, it wasn't awful. I mean, they with the injuries of two of their top corners, they still held them to a winnable score.
Yeah, Marcus Peters did end up playing in this game, though, and I think that the Rams are going to be a tough team to deal with just because they have the option to either shut you out on defense or just outscore you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So with this game, the Rams improved to 4-0. The Vikings go to 1-2-1. The Rams are still undefeated. And currently, other than them, the Chiefs. Is that it? Is there any other undefeated team?
As of right now, those are the only two.
Yeah, so the Chiefs pending their Bronco game tonight. And with the next game, we have the Texans and the Colts. All three of us chose the Texans to win this game, and by a field goal, all three of us were correct.
It was not only by a field goal; it was by a terrible decision by the Colts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm talking score-wise.
Yeah,
now we'll get into the analytics.
Yeah, this was bad.
I'm sorry,
it was bad.
But a tie is better than a loss. It is. I don't know what Frank Wright was thinking. A tie is better than a loss. You don't make that play on fourth down. You don't.
No, absolutely not. Not on the yardage line that you're on. Not with the time that's left. Not in a tie game. I mean, if you're down 3, all right, fine, go for it. You really don't have any other option. You're not going to punt it away, with minimal time left. But the fact that you're going to go for it in a tie game and give them the ball in a range to obviously win the game, which the Texans did do, it's a stupid call. Absolutely stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that with the Colts, they're thinking they're at home against a rival that's been playing some really bad defense lately. Maybe we can get away with one. But yeah, I agree with the situation of the game. It was just the wrong coaching decision. And but I mean, it's terrible to waste an effort like that from Andrew Luck too, who, I mean, we were talking last week about, it seemed like, his arm strength had diminished. He wasn't driving the ball down the field, and they called upon him to throw 62 times here.
Yeah, no,
and he delivered.
I think that the Colts locker room heard everybody talking about him, and they were like, oh yeah, well, here you go. Here's the Andrew Luck show, and he came right in, and
that's what we got.
Yeah, he seemed fine on that aspect, which is good. The only person that probably doesn't seem fine right now is T.Y. Hilton. His number one guy went down with an injury late in that game, so that's going to hurt them for the future.
Right. I mean, that's been Luck's forever receiver. They came into the league at the same time, and they've always, had the chemistry year in, year out. That's been the one thing, I think, keeping this Colts team alive, as far as like keeping them in games, getting them some wins here and there. So missing him, I mean, this was obviously already looking like a difficult season for them. I think a lot of people predicted a last place finish. So that's, he was moving very, very gingerly was the word, the terms. So, not looking good for the Colts, not looking good for T.Y. Hilton. The Texans they finally got their first win.
Yeah, and your Super Bowl picks looking a little bit better than it was last week.
Yeah, all they got to do is just a little bit better.
All they got to do is just not lose another game.
Just win out the rest of the season. Exactly. Whatever, 13-3.
They'll be just fine. They only allowed 34 points to the Colts. So all right. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who are counting, currently we are at Austin and Jared are 2-0, and Chase is 1-1. So we'll continue down the list here. We have the Bengals and the Falcons. The Bengals squeaked this one out 37-36. Very close game. Big shootout game. Seems like honestly most of the games of this week were very high scoring. So 37-36 Bengals. What do you guys got?
This one was an exciting one to watch from the start. It was you kind of knew it going in because both teams lacked defense, and Matt Ryan has been playing MVP caliber, honestly, like he was when they went to the Super Bowl. And I think that the Falcons, they're probably feeling great watching the games, and then the outcomes are like, still another loss.
Coming up a little short.
Well, watching one half of the game, which is, I mean, this is, of course, one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL, but you've got to at least have a competent defense to be able to finish games to some extent. I mean, hey, the Chiefs, they don't play defense, but they've found a way to keep themselves ahead, in the points column enough to outlast their opponents. And the Falcons, they've really struggled to do that this year. I mean, this is the second straight game that they put up 36 or more points at home and have found a way to lose without turning the ball over either. Usually, I mean, hey, sometimes you get those teams like the Lions who can put up a lot of points with Matt Stafford, but he'll also throw some interceptions. The Falcons are maintaining possession of the ball. They've got a terrific passing game. They've got a good running game. And they're not finding a way to close these games out. I mean, that speaks volumes as to how bad this defense has played.
Well, the defense these are second stringers. Let's not forget they're missing their key guys, Neal and Jones on the defensive side. So that's definitely got to hurt them. Plus, I mean, even though they are putting up crazy amounts of numbers on offense, they're missing Devontae Freeman too. So there's a couple pieces that.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about a passing team that added Calvin Ridley after not having a guy like that. I mean, to supplement Sanu and Jones.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's the real deal.
Yeah.
So Julio's going to be a big benefactor of this too, because if they start looking his way more, defenses are going to have to cover over to Ridley, and then you're going to put one-on-one with Julio Jones.
Exactly.
That's going to be an issue.
Double team.
That's what happened in this
Julio
game.
Jones anymore.
Yeah,
he had nearly 200 yards.
Yeah. And on the Bengals front, unfortunately, the Bengals will be without Tyler Eifert going forward. He tore his ACL or broke his leg or something. Yeah, broke his ankle, exactly. He is out for the rest of the season. So unfortunately, a guy who tried real hard to help this team and be a huge team player. I'm a big fan of Eifert. He's a great player. He plays the right way, and it's sad to see anybody go down, but especially a guy that's been trying this hard to really boost this team up, and he's out for the rest of the year.
He battles injuries a lot. He's always been injury prone, I think. I mean, as far as I can remember, really, back to when he was averaging a touchdown a game. He keeps getting hurt. He can't finish the season. I don't know what's left for Eifert, to be honest. I don't know if he'll come back. I'm sure he'll try. This is definitely a season ender for him. But a guy that just can't stay on the field, I don't know what else you can really do at this point.
It's a big plus for this offense. I mean, especially after Joe Mixon's knee surgery. So the last thing that they want is to lose another weapon. But to their credit, I mean, again, finding a way to win on the road against a really tough offense, missing a guy like Mixon. So a lot of credit goes to the Bengals. I mean, Bernard stepped up with 2 touchdowns. So this is, they're 3-1 right now.
Yeah, no, the Red Rocket or the Red Rifle, whatever he likes to be called. I'm not sure.
Red Rifle. This is a family show.
He's on fire. No pun intended. Again,
yeah? Oh, wow.
He's red hot.
If anyone's wondering, Chase is also a redhead, so it's okay. He can say these things.
Exactly.
He's been killing it, and AJ Green and Tyler Boyd, and before
Boyd's having a great season.
Yeah, Bernard on the receiving end. They look great.
Yep.
And it's the biggest. I think they might be one of the biggest turnarounds from last season because they stunk last year.
Last year was a case of them digging themselves into a hole and just if you lose too many games early in the season, you can't climb out of it.
So it's exciting. All the Bengals fans can come out of hiding.
Yeah.
And with that one, the Bengals go to 3-1. The Falcons also move down to 1-3.
Wow, the Falcons are 1-3, huh?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The offensive performances have been great, but they barely lost to the Eagles. You barely lose to the Saints. You barely lose to the Bengals. These things all add up, even though they're not losing to terrible teams.
L is an L, unfortunately. All counts as a loss. Doesn't matter the score.
On that note, what a tough schedule for the Falcons, huh?
Yeah,
that's what happens when you win your division.
Yeah. And with that
they didn't win. No, they got a wild card. My bad.
We also are going to move on to the Eagles and Titans, another game decided by minimal points.
In overtime.
Teasing
us with another tie.
Another tie. I mean, how many games?
Two games that teed us with a tie this week.
I know, right? 2 games that
three. The Raiders and the Browns, I was almost certain.
Raiders, Browns.
I was going to be like, this
Titans, Eagles. And was there another overtime one?
The Texans and Colts.
Yeah, Texans and Colts.
Yeah. We just talked about it,
so with that one, we have the Eagles and the Titans. The Titans squeaked this one out 26-23. I had the Eagles winning this one. Chase also had the Eagles. Jared, unfortunately, had the Titans. He is the winner of this.
That's right. I am the winner.
This game also absolutely buried me in our Pick'em League. I lost a couple $100 because of minimal points because of this damn game. So I am very, very unhappy with the Eagles and all you Eagles fans out there.
What did I say about the Titans, boys?
Well, you picked the Eagles.
You picked the Eagles.
No, I'm telling you right now. I'm saying, what did I say? They're really annoying and they win games.
Exactly. They have won in the most annoying way possible. And also think about this. Their one loss was to the Dolphins in week 1, which had that the lightning delays and the power. So think about maybe that game, if it was just a normal 3-hour game, what if they had won that and they were 4-0 right now, huh?
That would be...
What a world!
We'd be talking all Titans.
What a world!
I believe you had a guest on here before me that was because I remember listening to the podcast.
Correct.
Go back and listen to that one. He was what's his name?
His name is Ricky Cambo, and I was actually arguing with him about this earlier in the day about how I thought the Titans weren't going to sustain this because when you keep squeaking out these games with the bare minimum, I mean these are three consecutive escape wins for me and. Again, I mean, this team definitely is way improved in the coaching and the play calling from last year. But they just remind me of the Giants' last championship team from 2011, where they found a way to pull these games out from down under in the fourth quarter. But that style of play, it's not sustainable for a 12-4, a 13-3 season. I feel like this is going to catch up to them.
No, they're not going to win that many games. But they have I'd probably say they're probably the favorite to win the division at this point.
At this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still leaning toward Jacksonville. That defense is
they already got 1 game ahead of Jacksonville, so they're going to have to.
Especially without Fournette.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And Fournette will be back, though. He's not going to miss the whole season.
Well, I mean, it says indefinitely, so you never know. So on that one, we got the Eagles and the Titans, like we said, 26-23. Eagles go to 2-2. Titans go to 3-1.
The Eagles are so boring. They are painfully mediocre. They are middle of the road in everything that they do. They've got an average passing game, an average running game, an average defense. They're going to be 9-7, 8-8. Even if they somehow manage to win the miserable NFC East, they're not winning any playoff games.
I said they'd miss the playoffs before the season started.
I think we all called them for a down year.
Yeah.
No, but they could. I mean, you look the way this division looks right now. They could still win the division at 9-7,
which is sad. But unfortunately, the Giants have
reality.
done that more times than I can count. So we'll move on to the next one. We got the Dolphins and the Patriots.
So let me talk first here.
Go ahead.
Because I was caught up in the moment, we'll say, with the Dolphins. And
well, you came to your senses before you made your prediction.
Yeah. So this one was tough to watch. I think that everybody kind of knew that the Patriots were gonna have a little bit of chip on their shoulder, losing 2 games in a row.
The Dolphins weren't. Let me rewind that. The Dolphins were not also going to walk into Boston, walk into the Patriots' home, walk into Gillette, and go 4-0. It wasn't happening. I said it last week. It wasn't happening. This week, it wasn't happening. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Well, now it's not.
In the Tom Brady era, I'm pretty sure in the Tom Brady era, the Patriots have never lost 3 games in a row. Never.
We would have to fact check
their
that
stats. I just saw the number earlier: 8-0 following consecutive losses.
But this is also typical Patriots. They always start off like the first 4 games, they lose 1 or 2.
10-1 to finish the freaking season.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, this was a situation where their season legitimately was. You never thought you'd say this, but the season was in jeopardy early. I mean, think about it. You lose to the Dolphins in your house. You're down 3 games in the division while, at the moment, losing out on a tiebreaker. That could be a killer. Down 3 games in the division like that? I mean, because then you got to beat them in their house, and the pressure's on you the rest of the way. Now, Grant, could they turn around? But, I mean, the Dolphins have a huge advantage if they're at 4-0.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Bill and the entire locker room pretty much knew that
they heard it.
This was a must-win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They sure played like it.
The Dolphins weren't winning this game,
and the emergence of the rookie running back Sony Michel, which is fairly exciting for me because I have him in our fantasy league.
You sure about that?
Maybe not ours.
Not ours, because I picked him up and I started him instead of
my work league. Sorry.
Yeah, instead of the good old Chiefs running back over here who is not doing a damn thing yet. I benched him and started Sony there. So. Definitely not in our league. So with that one, Patriots again, 38-7. They improve to, if I can remember, because I'm having a brain fart, 2-2, and the Dolphins go to 3-1.
Before we forget, I want to mention this, so we don't get any crap for it. Alshon Jeffrey made his season debut in that Eagles-Titans game, and they still lost. So
he played good though.
Yes. Yeah, no, he did, but it wasn't enough.
Yes. Next up, Jets, Jaguars, 31-20. 31-20.
If only, right?
12. if I wasn't dyslexic and didn't read numbers backwards. Exactly. 31-12. We all had the Jaguars winning this. They came through for us to win this game. Jets lose to Jaguars. What do you got?
Jets were just undermanned here. I mean, you feel for Darnold. This is just a tough matchup for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I predicted that Darnold would throw 4 picks, and he didn't do that, so there's a bright spot.
Yeah, but how much damage can you really do against this defense on the road with like the minimal experience, the minimal personnel?
Yeah, I think he threw for 167 yards, so I think that he pretty much got suffocated by the Jags defense.
Bortles is really getting a lot of production out of these receivers, though. I mean, we came in
because they don't have Fournette.
But for a receiving core that really isn't up to par, losing,
especially and with an average quarterback too.
Yeah,
we
thought Bortles isn't the greatest quarterback on the planet. They don't have an elite receiving core. They don't even have an elite single receiver. It's not like they have a Julio Jones in the corner and an Odell Beckham. They don't have a great guy that he can throw to all the time, and they lost Leonard Fournette. And they lost Yeldon's also not the greatest running back on the planet. So the fact that they're still putting up 31 points is really strange. And
they lost Marquise Lee, too, in the preseason.
Yeah.
We thought it was like, oh, that's the one good receiver they have. And D.D. Westbrook, Dante Moncrief, they've done about as well as you could expect them to do.
Yeah, and Keelan Cole's a good wide receiver. I think
Keelan Cole, of course,
he's the wide receiver one. I think that they're sneaky. They're sneaky good. They're kind of like the Patriots wide receivers. You look at them and you don't think anything special because they don't have the height or anything great. Well, minus Josh Gordon now.
Yeah,
but yeah, no,
that's the Belichick machine there, though.
Yeah, so I think that they got the short, quick wide receivers and they're running the plays right for them.
Then we had the Bills at the Packers, which was pretty much the snooze fest everybody thought it would be. I mean, pretty predictable win for Green Bay, with them playing not at their best. I mean, Aaron Rodgers called out the offense after the game kind of for playing poorly. I mean, this is a game where they shut them out 22-0, but you feel like they could have done more against, a really a weak team.
You're never unhappy winning 22-0, but I think that Rodgers has just become used to throwing 3 touchdowns and scoring a lot of points. And this was a defensive. This game was won because of their defense. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. It's the same for them to win that way because that's kind of an unheralded aspect of the team. I think that after just, coming into this game, a 1-1-1 start, you're coming off a disappointing loss to Washington, a tie against Minnesota. Did
Clay Matthews get pinched for another roughing the passer in this game?
Actually, that's hilarious that you say that.
I think he was actually penalized for a hit on Jameis Winston in the Bears game. Yeah.
In all seriousness, you can look back at the tape. There's a point where Clay Matthews has Josh Allen dead to rights, and he makes sure that he stops his forward momentum, and then just kind of arm wraps him up. It is ridiculous to see what he has to do.
He has to stop a football tackle, a normal, perfect form football tackle, so that he doesn't get a 15-yard penalty and thrown out of every game that he's going to play. Again, this goes back to the first time, the second time, the 10th time, the 100th time that we've talked about and will talk about this tackling, excuse my language, BS in the NFL is ridiculous. Rant over.
No, we've all said our piece on the unclear tackling rules and how it's, you've heard it enough from players, from analysts, from people like us. It's been a frustrating start to the season with these rules and the way that the officials aren't being clear about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. But, always great to see a player. It was almost his way of sticking it to the officials oh, look, this is what I have to do to appease you.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Something needs to be done about that. But,
for now, they'll take their shutout win.
Yeah, and on that note, we had the Packers improving to 2-1-1, and the Bills with the goose egg laid going to 1-3. So
same record as the Falcons, believe that.
I know.
Yeah,
the Bills
right?
and the Falcons are tied for a record. Crazy. We also all had the Packers winning that game, and we were all correct. And with our next game, we had the Buccaneers at the Bears, and the Buccaneers got slaughtered 48-10. Mitch Trubisky, 6 touchdowns thrown in that game. He even had 53 rushing yards. What is that?
Well, Fitzmagic is over.
The rabbit in the hat is dead.
We've seen the man behind the curtain. The jig is up, and
I think Did they finally get him?
No, you know what happened actually. So we've all seen Space Jam. Mitch Trubisky stole Fitz's magic.
Wow.
Wow. There's no doubt in my mind that's what happened. There was some witchcraft.
Trubitz.
It is officially October.
Trubitz magic. There it is.
It's Trubisky magic. Exactly.
No, but in all seriousness, Mitch Trubisky was probably one of the least performing quarterbacks in their second year. We're seeing Goff play really well. We're seeing we're watching him right now. We're seeing Patrick Mahomes play really well in his sophomore year. And
especially if you have guys in the offense like Cohen and Allen Robinson.
Mitch Trubisky, he really needed to show the world why he is the starting quarterback for the Bears, and this was the game.
Yeah, and with the addition of Khalil Mack in that secondary there, this is the 4th game in a row that he's recorded a sack and a forced fumble. And I think
left
that was
John Gruden speechless.
Yeah, and I think that was a record of some sort. I don't want to quote anything there because I'm not sure 100%, but I definitely remember seeing that 4 consecutive games with a strip fumble and a sack is an NFL record of some sort. So it just crazy what he's doing in the defensive side. Mitch Trubisky, if he can keep this up, the Bears are really a force to be reckoned with at 3-1.
And Dirk Cutter said in the post-game interview that everyone on the field for Tampa Bay should be fired, starting with him. He pulled no punches at holding his entire team to the team's feet to the fire. Said that he's like, I can't think of a single player that played well today or did well enough to win. And, I mean, he owned it, so credit to him for not trying to, blow smoke up anybody like Ben McAdoo would have done with the Giants last year. So
yeah, he might want to be careful, though, because he actually might get booted for that.
But hey, fire me, all right.
I think that is harsh for a team that's still very much in it at 2-2.
Hey, man, Ben McAdoo is looking for a job.
Oh, no, they would never. But, hey, the Bears are not. They are not who we thought they were.
No,
they are in fact better than we thought they were because they're in first place right now at 3-1.
Absolutely at 3-1, and with the Buccaneers dropping to 2-2, the Bears are looking great. And like I said, Mitch Trubisky can keep up what he's doing. The rest of the team can keep firing on all cylinders. Khalil Mack's doing what he's doing. They're
Imagine if they held on to that lead against Green Bay. They'd be 4-0 right now.
4-0, wild. But Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to let that happen. And the fact that you picked the Buccaneers to win that game is absolutely hilarious, Jared.
Hey, Fitzpatrick
is dead.
400 yards a game coming into this game, and Trubisky hadn't shown any sign that he was capable of what he did. Clearly, he rose to the occasion. The Bears are indeed better than
most teams in the NFL.
At this point.
Their defense is serious.
And the Buccaneers are back to being the Buccaneers for now. Fitzpatrick is already out of a job. They've already named Winston the starter again. So that debate is over. And, I was wrong, everybody.
Yeah, you picked the Buccaneers. Myself and Chase picked the Bears. Next, we're going to move on to the Lions and the Cowboys. Or should I say the Cowgirls have won 26-24, beating the Lions. Austin and Jared had the Cowboys. Chase, what do you say about your Lions?
Listen, this was the Lions game. They were up 24-23 with seconds remaining, and the Cowboys just came right down the field and kicked that field goal with their newly acquired kicker, nonetheless. Ficken, I believe is his name.
Ficken,
because they don't got Bailey anymore. So, which I'm sure all the Cowboys fans were, crossing their fingers that the guy would hit it since we've seen so many missed field goals already.
All the kicking drama, right? Yeah.
So, the Lions, I thought they'd win this one. I thought that they could overpower the Cowboys, but Zeke ate all day. It was a Zeke show.
If the Cowboys are going to be successful this season, which of course right now they're tied with the Eagles and a half game behind the Redskins, it's going to have to be the Zeke show with just you can tell how limited Dak is in the passing game without any really quality receiving options. So Zeke has shown that he could be a 3-down back, and he balled out in this game. They're going to need him to continue to ball out. I mean, he had over what was it, like 240 all-purpose yards in that game, running and passing, running and receiving.
Running and passing, yeah. Zeke threw the ball.
Yep.
Oh, Cowboy special.
Sure did. Might be better than Dak. I don't know. They should give it a try. Well, but the Cowboys, they got to win. They're 2-2. They're gonna be like this all season. Win loss.
Yep.
Lions go to 1-3. Next up, we got the Seahawks and the Cardinals. The Seahawks, another squeaker game. I mean, what are all these games? Yeah, sleeper game, squeaker game. What are all these games that are within 3 points? All right, Jared doesn't care. 20-17, the Seahawks won. Cardinals 0-4. Will the Cardinals win a game this season?
Yes, they're going to win this week, actually.
They will, but it doesn't matter. The Seahawks, I mean, Earl Thomas broke his leg and he flipped him the bird. The Seahawks fans are going to be flipping the team the bird because the season's going to go on. They're going to meander. They're going to pick up some wins here and there because, again, they have obviously still Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. You got a good quarterback head coach combo. You're going to win some games, but they're just so undermanned. I mean, this is a shell of what they once were. The fact that you had to squeak out a game like this against the Cardinals, who are so offensively inept. I mean, the old Seahawks would have absolutely obliterated Arizona here.
Well, this isn't the old Seahawks.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's not.
Last week you said the same thing. Oh man, the Seahawks aren't what they used to be. It's 2018, Jared.
Yeah, everyone was talking about.
Yeah, they're not. They're not. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean,
and everyone was talking about the Legion of Boom being dead. The Legion of Boom is officially over. It's gone. It's done.
It's gone.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. He was the last one. Earl Thomas was the last one. He's got a broken leg, out for the season. He's never going to play for the Seahawks again.
Might not play football again.
I think he'll come back.
He'll be on the Chiefs next year or the Cowboys or somebody.
He still had. I mean, they were talking about trading him for Le'Veon Bell, and we'll get into Le'Veon Bell soon because there's some breaking news with him.
He'll be fine. He'll make a nice paycheck at the end of the year.
Exactly. He'll get paid. Unfortunately, not this year. He's not going to play anymore with the broken leg. But, yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are mediocre at best.
Yeah, so they're 2-2, Cards 0-4. We all picked Seattle. like most people in the world did. So, yeah. Moving on, we got the Chargers beating the 49ers, albeit much closer score than I think a lot of people were expecting. The 49ers very much hung in this game. Give credit to them. It's a team, a very new team as far as bringing together a new group of players playing together for the first time, and with a backup quarterback, C.J. Beathard, after Garoppolo's injury. They go on the road, and they hung in this game till the very end. The Chargers defense, we got to hold their feet to the fire. I mean, they've been missing Joey Bosa all season, but overall, they are pretty much just getting ripped apart week in and week out.
Yeah, and Joey Bosa, his words exactly were that he most likely won't come back until they're at least after their bye week, which I think is week 8, if I'm correct, off the top of my head. So, getting Joey Bosa back will obviously help, but the Chargers aren't looking as good as they did coming into the season. I know a lot of people had them at the top of the division, and they're looking mediocre right now. They're a 500 team at 2-2, barely squeaking out a game over the 49ers,
and they really need to get more out of Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
they really do.
Yeah,
I mean,
Keenan
he's
Allen
supposed to be a premier receiver in this league, and he's been held out of the end zone. They got to figure that out.
Yeah, no, the Chargers have been struggling. I think everybody was really high on them to start the year. Not having Joey Bosa is a huge deal. He's a significant piece on that defense, and he's what causes all that trouble making the quarterbacks, throw maybe contested balls more often because he gives them less time in the pocket.
And when he works in conjunction with Ingram.
I think that they're probably they might be tied for the second or third team with in the AFC West with the Broncos. I think at the lead right now is obviously got to be the Chiefs. Even though, and just an update, they are playing a, like I said, very close game right now. It's currently 10-3, and the Broncos are in the red zone. But yeah, I mean, the Chargers, they got a shot. They just got to put a couple pieces together. They got to get Bosa back, and they got to start holding these teams to under 30 points at least.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the 49ers even put up 27, like you said, with a backup, random no-name quarterback, on top of throwing 2 interceptions, still threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ridiculous. So that's all we got to say on that one. The Chargers 2-2, 49ers 1-3.
I think Goodwin got hurt again, so he's going to be out for a little while. Just a little update.
Thank you for that, Chase. We will move on to the Browns and the Raiders. Overtime looked like it was going to be another tie.
Raiders pulled it out.
After missing. I think they had a chance to win the game with a field goal late in the fourth there. They missed it to go to overtime. Browns didn't do anything. They punted it away. Raiders come out 45-42. We all had the Browns winning this one. I mean, the fact that the Browns put up 45 points, I don't know if that says something to the Raiders' defense or the fact that...
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah,
definitely a little bit of both.
Baker Mayfield, granted, threw two interceptions.
2 picks, 2 fumbles, I believe.
Yeah, so, I mean, they had a lot of turnovers, but the fact that a Browns quarterback still had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and put up 42 points, when's the last time the Browns put up 42 points?
Yeah, no, Baker's definitely going to have some growing pains.
He's a rookie. It's his first... his first full start, his second full start? His first full start, exactly. So, I mean, he's going to have growing pains. He's going to make errors. You can't expect him to be an Aaron Rodgers right out of the gate. I mean, he's not going to be an elite quarterback in his first full start. A little breaking update here. We just had the Broncos score to make it a 10-9 football game pending the PAT. So the Chiefs are up by a point. Could be a tie game within a kick here.
PAT is good.
Was it good? All right,
yes.
Cool. It was good. So we had a tie game, 10-10 on Monday Night Football. I mean, with the Browns, this is the part where, you're kind of torn a little bit because as a Browns fan, you're not used to having any expectations for this team, but now the narrative shifts after a game like this. They're 1-2-1, but let's examine their season so far. First game of the year, they absolutely blew opportunities to put the Steelers away to win a game. Then they had the game in control in New Orleans, leading them through 3 quarters, up 2 scores late in the second half. Now they lose this game in overtime where, again, you're getting plenty of production from your offense against Oakland. So, again, the team is competing, which is a humongous step forward from last season. But at the same time, you just think about what could have been, and they could be right at the top of that division if they had just finished the job in some of these games.
I don't think they think about it like that. Honestly, I think they're just living in the moment right now with Baker.
But that is the reality of their situation.
But since they haven't experienced, like if it was the Patriots, everybody would be freaking out. right? Everybody would be losing their mind. They're 1-2-1.
They're
like we just were, right before the Dolphins game. But I think with the Browns, I think that there's more looking up. There's more to look to the future than to worry about. We lost a couple of games.
I just think that with the status of this division right now, the fact that the Ravens and the Bengals are both 3-1, and you're coming in this game, it's really it can really swing the pendulum one way or the other. Because think about it, if they win this game, they're 2-1-1. They are, I guess, it wouldn't be a half game. It would be like a kind of a quarter of a game out of first place,
right?
Out
of first place.
You see
which is why the ties are stupid.
Exactly. You can see how the narrative could have changed, though. So it's just disappointing for Cleveland.
Yeah, every loss stinks, but I don't think it's...
So, I mean, it's certainly a step forward for them, though. I mean, they competed.
Yep. So with that one, the Browns go to 1-2-1. The Raiders 1-3. That was the Raiders' first win.
Yeah, that's a big win for John Gruden.
Yeah, seriously, John Gruden's first win in his 10-year contract. So let's see how long he lasts through that one.
Well, they gave him a lot of money, so I think he's going to be around a while.
Yep.
We will go on to our ever-favorite Saints at the Giants. For the record, as you all are well aware, me and Jared are both Giants fans. And I chose the Saints to win this game because the Giants are awful.
Listen.
I'm not that dumb. Jared chose the Giants. He thought something about Ben McAdoo's Ghost of Christmas Past would, I don't know.
No.
The Giants lost the game.
Listen,
33
I'm glad you said that, though. The Giants lost this game. Now, granted, do the Saints have one of the most powerful, destructive offenses in the NFL? Absolutely. However, let's look at how this game really panned out. Yes, Alvin Kamara's final stat line looks gorgeous. It was mostly padded by a late 50-yard touchdown run. Drew Brees was held to 217 yards. The Giants scored on their first possession and held the lead throughout almost the entire first half. This was a game where they beat themselves with terrible play calling, untimely penalties, and eventually at the end of the game, the defense just kind of got worn out. I mean, let's be fair. They held the Saints out of the end zone. They held them to one touchdown through three quarters.
Yeah, they had a lot of red zone opportunities that they kept them out of. But let's be honest here, Odell Beckham, where is he? Where's he been?
The Giants don't have enough time to find him because Eli can't look downfield with six defenders in his face.
Odell also, Odell also dropped one that was right in his hands, and Eli overthrew him. I mean, I can count 3 or 4 times just out of the small amount that I actually watched this game. You can't just blame Odell for not being there. He's getting double covered because they don't have
I'm not blaming Odell. I'm saying he's got to be in the offense. That's the only way they're going to win is if they get their star player in.
They are. Yeah, it's
not like they're trying. I mean, they threw to him. It's just with not having a lot of time in the pocket, you can't really get the ball to him. Like I said, he dropped a pass, so that didn't help. Eli overthrew him. A handful of times he ran a simple like hitch route, and the ball was thrown, 3 yards behind him. I mean, you had to try to reach back with both hands to try to catch this thing, stop his momentum on the left turn that he was making to try to catch it farther along the sideline, and the ball was nowhere to be found. And he was upset about it. You could see he's throwing his hands up. He's getting upset about some of these throws, and I'm not just blaming Eli. Obviously, there's more factors than just the quarterback, but if you're getting the ball out and you're not getting hit, make it somewhat accurate. The guy's going to catch it if you put it near him most of the time. You can't throw it 3 yards behind him and expect him to catch the ball and then blame him for not being in the game.
There are a lot of things I want to point to in this. I mean, here's one thing that stuck out to me about the play calling. The Giants are finally getting a drive together in the third quarter after the offense has been lifeless since the opening drive, and they wind up kicking a field goal. The final 6 plays of this drive were all passes. You've got Saquon Barkley, and you're in the third quarter. There's plenty of time. You don't have to worry about just conserving the clock and just slinging it. So this it was just huge blown opportunity to get Saquon more involved in the game. He finishes with only 10 carries, and then late in the fourth quarter, Ted Ginn fumbles a kickoff. The Saints start this drive on their own 3, and the Giants need to get the ball back. What did they do? First play, let them throw it downfield and get themselves out from being backed up to their own goal line. And then the pass interference on third down. It's just you're shooting yourselves in the feet. And the Giants are familiar with that. So
let's not bring up Plaxico Burress, all right? I mean, come on, man. And with that, we have the Giants going to 1-3. The Saints, unfortunately, Jared
lost a bet there.
Jared lost that bet, yeah. We had the wheel of what was it? The wheel of despair, the wheel of punishment. We didn't come up with those.
No, well, we didn't. Nobody put up a vote.
All right, well, we'll make sure we put that vote up.
We all have one.
Check to fight another day.
Check out the Facebook page at Call to the Bullpen. We're gonna put up a poll of the wheel of punishment when we bet on games. Whoever loses has to do whatever, to an extent, you guys vote on. And because we didn't put it up, Jared still has to do it whenever we get the vote.
So do me and you.
Yeah, well, so do we, because we lost something.
Boy,
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I lost one.
Either way, Saints go to 3-1, Giants 1-3. Next game is Ravens at Steelers. Last night's Sunday night game, Ravens 26, Steelers 14.
Chase called it.
Well, you did. And I mean, hey, I got a friend, one of my closest friends, who is a diehard Ravens fan, diehard Joe Flacco fan, who said coming into this season, the fact that they had drafted Lamar Jackson, he was feeling like Flacco's days were numbered, that they're probably making the shift. I don't think it's going to happen until next year, but this is probably Flacco's last hurrah. And
this is the same thing with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes.
He is experiencing a renaissance right now.
Yeah, this is literally what happened last year with the Chiefs.
And it's
literally, Alex Smith was like, oh, crap, my job's on the line. Let me play out of my pants. And here we are with the Ravens being 3-1 that nobody ever expected them to be. Joe Flacco is still a fluke. I don't care. He's not a good quarterback.
It's a different receiver every week, though. I mean, this week it's John Brown.
No, it's been John Brown the past 4 weeks.
Pretty much. And speaking of important players and important roles, the Steelers, there's some breaking news on the Le'Veon Bell situation. Le'Veon Bell has put a statement out that he will be returning to the team at their bye week. I believe that was, week 7, so he'll be returning week 8, if I'm correct?
Yeah, so he'll be returning for basically the second half of the season. And this is... Honestly, I think this is a move to show other teams what he's still got, basically, because I don't think that he's gotten a lot of contact from other teams, and this is probably why he's making
he was
this
expecting.
Move. Yeah, exactly. And he actually he commented on Earl Thomas's post when Earl Thomas got hurt and given the finger to his former team. And the whole reason why, or I don't know if we went into a description about this, the whole reason why Earl Thomas gave the finger to his team is because they wouldn't give him an extension and they wouldn't trade him, basically.
Yeah, so they pretty much forced him into free agency, and now that he's hurt, he doesn't have a chance to make the money that he could have made with an extension and or traded to show himself off.
Exactly.
So
Le'Veon Bell is basically
it's pretty much a Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah, he's basically the poster boy for it, and he commented saying, oh, I'll keep being the bad guy for all of us, because this is exactly why. If Le'Veon plays on this franchise tag and he gets hurt, there's no guaranteed money after this year. He could basically just, get thrown to the side and nobody will ever sign him again. So the whole idea here is that Le'Veon Bell knows that the Steelers probably aren't going to give him an extension. They're not going to sign him again. So right now he's going to go out there in the for the next 8 weeks or whatever is left of the season, depending on if they make playoffs, and show the other teams what he's got. They still got something deserving of that Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott type of contract.
Which, I mean, he's certainly proven to be, either if he's not the number one back in the league, he's top 5. So but at the same time, having a 1-year layoff could kill his chances of getting picked up by somebody else. And we know that running back is often a short-lived position in the NFL with a lot of turnover. So it's like you said, it's very important that he came back at some point this season when he realized he wasn't getting any offers. He had no other choice.
And that'll sum up week 4 of the NFL season. To give you a live update, currently the Broncos lead the Chiefs at halftime 13-10.
Yes, sir.
The Broncos just kicked a field goal to take the lead. They are going into the locker room for halftime. We will keep you posted as we record, as we are currently recording during live week 4 Monday Night Football. Moving on to week 5, we are going to start our preview, our predictions, our picks. Oh, actually, to recap.
Yeah, what was the total?
To finish, currently, pending on tonight's game, myself, Austin, is at 10-4 on the week for picks. Jared is at 9-5, and Chase is at 9-5. So we can either all tie. Of course, it's the year of the freaking ties, or I can go to 11-4, and they will go to 9-6 on the night because I have the Chiefs winning tonight, and Chase and Jared, as Chase just stated, have the Broncos winning tonight. So we'll keep you posted on the winner and or whatever updated score it is by the time we finish recording. To start week 5, we have the Buccaneers and the Bears on bye week this week, so you will not see either of those teams contending. But we will start with the Colts at the Patriots. Patriots are at home. All three of us have the Patriots in this game. I think it's relatively obvious the Colts are not playing up to par. What do you guys think on that one?
Yeah, I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I think that they're going to rely on their run offense, actually. I think that they're going to do pretty much what they did to the Miami Dolphins. Again, I think they're going to run it a lot with Sony Michel, probably over 20 times. And I think that James White is a good change-up back that they can really rely on in the passing game as well. So I think that the Patriots take this one. I would say probably a one-score game, though, just because their defense isn't looking great so far this year, and Andrew Luck looks like he still can sling it like he used to.
Okay, let's talk about how much of an undesirable situation this is for Indy. You're coming off a home loss in overtime on a questionable coaching decision to a division rival, and now you have to go on the road on a short week against a 2-2 kind of sort of desperate Patriots team that's already proven to be one of the best home teams in the NFL over the last 15 years. This is such an unfavorable situation for them here that under even the best of circumstances, they'd probably still lose this game, but I can't see it.
I'm raising my hand and you guys can't see it, but I have a question. Is Edelman back this week? I think he is. I think Edelman's back this week.
I have absolutely
I'm pretty
no
sure Edelman's back this week.
You might be right, but we should pull that up.
And if Edelman is back this week, that should put us even more on the Patriots because finally somebody's going to be able to take the heat off of Tom Brady and be his number one guy.
Looking at the wide receiver status, Julian Edelman is suspended until week 5.
Coming off that suspension, yeah.
He is coming off suspension.
He is going to, and Chase, to your point about them using the ground attack, he's going to be out Gronk this week, probably, most likely after he.
I thought that Gronk wasn't a serious injury.
He's still. I mean, he left the game, and they're. Yeah, they might be cautious considering that the game is taking place, just in a couple of days.
That's right. It's the Thursday night game. I forgot about that.
As of today, per our sources.
I think if this was a Sunday game, there would be a higher likelihood, but they might keep him out.
That's right. It's a short week.
Yeah, currently Gronkowski is questionable for this week. He did not practice, as I stated a few minutes earlier. So Julian Edelman's back. Gronkowski may or may not play. I mean, Josh Gordon's on that team now, so who knows? He really could step up and be a weapon for them on offense. So with that, I think we all have the Patriots smoking the Colts this week.
I did say smoke. I said it would be a one-score game.
Yeah, I got them smoking them. Either way, the Patriots are going to win regardless of what the score is. We're going to move on to the Jaguars and the Chiefs. This one's a tough one. Really, the Jaguars could pull this win off. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't win, depending on how tonight goes and how beat up the Chiefs are. Going into Arrowhead, I have the Chiefs winning this one, though.
I've got the Chiefs as well. I think that the Jags are going to be struggling a lot without Leonard Fournette, who looks like he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Hamstring injuries are tough, especially because he thought that he was healthy, and then he came back on the field and re-aggravated it. That tells me that he's going to be out for close to a month, I think, and you can quote me on that.
He's also been kind of irrelevant in the fantasy world. Unfortunately, Sarah's got him on her fantasy team, and he's just not doing a dang thing.
It's because he's been hurt. He's been.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even when he's been playing, he's just been awful.
He's only played like one game, like full healthy.
Fair.
So I've got the Chiefs here. They've got the more powerful offense. It could be a shootout, especially because we see Blake Bortles putting up these astronomical numbers, like 375 yards, 400 yards the last couple of weeks.
And the Chiefs' defense is relatively weak. I mean, granted, they're holding the Denver Broncos to 13 right now. They're not the strongest defense on the planet. They're not the Chiefs of old. So.
Right, exactly. So I think that this could be a shootout. However, I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to have a little bit too much firepower for him.
I also agree. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I will say this. You take a look at the rest of the Jaguars schedule, although they've already dropped a key divisional game to the Titans, their schedule the rest of the way is pretty favorable, and this is one of their most likely losses. I mean, I'm predicting like 13-3, 12-4 finish for the Jags, and this would be one of those losses. So if they're able to pull this game out, which is obviously very tough to do against arguably what's been the most explosive offense in the NFL, at least AFC so far this season, and the Chiefs playing in one of the most difficult places to win for a visitor in Arrowhead. If the Jags are able to win this game, they're going to be in great shape for the rest of the year. But I don't see it happening. I don't see the upset happening because I think with the way their schedule looks a little bit softer after this game, and the Chiefs right after this game, they're playing the Bengals, Patriots, and Broncos. So I think that they're going to be the ones a little bit more motivated. It's a short week against a good opponent, but I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out.
Absolutely. So we'll move on to the next one. We have the Broncos at the Jets. I
poor
think
Darnold.
we're all agreeing
Poor
again.
Darnold.
Yeah,
another
seriously.
tough matchup.
Orange
Yeah,
Tide.
exactly.
Or I don't know if that's actually a thing, but I'm making it a
I
thing.
think that's a Syracuse thing. I don't really know. I don't follow college.
Go
Anyways,
Orange. Yeah, I think it is a Syracuse.
You know what?
But we're going all Broncos on this one against the Jets.
Let me just say, though, I'm not going to predict a blowout here because, let's be clear, the Broncos struggled in their last long road trip to the other end of the country, and now they're taking that same sort of road trip on a short week. So this could be a trap game for Denver, but I still don't like the matchup with Darnold against the defense. However, I do think the Jets are going to keep this closer than you'd expect.
You're absolutely right. I can see this being a low-scoring game.
Yep.
And I think that's all on that one. So we'll go to the Packers and the Lions. Unfortunately, we are also agreeing on this one altogether, so there's no arguments here for the first couple games. Packers and the Lions, we all got the Packers winning this one. The Lions just don't look phenomenal. I mean, granted, the Packers are a little beat up right now.
Yeah, it's in Detroit, so I'm not going to say that I'm 100% on the Packers. I will take them as my favorite, but I can see the Lions pulling off something here. Like Aaron Rodgers said, he's not really happy with the offense. Geronimo Allison got a concussion, and Randall Cobb was out with an injury this past week, so we'll see if he comes back. And so if that happens, that's two key pieces on the Packers offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the way that defense
and Allison's
played,
been playing phenomenal lately, so...
I was going to say the way that Packers defense played against the Bills, that's got to be encouraging against a mistake-prone Matt Stafford. But, I mean, to the point, you're thinking always your best chance to beat your division rival is going to be at home. So I think that the Lions could keep this one a little bit closer than you'd expect. But the Packers are going to have extra motivation given the fact that they're now playing catch-up with Chicago. So I think that Green Bay is going to win here.
Yep, I think we're all in agreement there. We're going to move on to the Ravens at the Browns. I have the Browns winning this one. You guys have the Ravens. Honestly, I like the Browns at home. I like the energy that they have. That home crowd is going crazy right now. There's a lot of optimism in the locker room, in the coaching staff, and the players. Baker Mayfield has brought a whole new outlook on this team, on the stadium, on the fans, everything. It's kind of crazy to see them play lately, and they put up a lot of points this week. Granted, they did not win the game, unfortunately. It's something just looks really good about them, and I think if they could just tweak a few things here and there, tune up a few things, get a little bit more chemistry going with the full squad, they'll really pull something off, and I think they will beat the Ravens here.
There is no doubt in my mind that the Browns' offense and defense looks better. However, the Ravens' defense has been serious this year. They held the Pittsburgh Steelers at home to 14 points.
And they shut them out in the second half.
It's just they're playing on another level, and like I said last week before they beat the Steelers, their offense is also playing on a whole new...
Yeah, and Chase, to your point, that Ravens-Steelers game, final score was 26-14. Could have been worse considering that Alex Collins fumbled at the Steelers' 1-yard line. So you take that into consideration.
Oh, absolutely. The game could have been over in the first half. It would have been 21-3. So the Ravens' offense is firing on all cylinders. Their defense is playing as hard as they usually play. I mean, you guys know that the Ravens' defense has always been that hard-nosed, tough football that Harbaugh likes to play. So I really like the Ravens.
Absolutely. I think their offense is looking the best that it's looked in years, honestly. I mean, it goes back to what we were saying about Joe Flacco's kind of career renaissance, that jolt that he's gotten now that once they drafted Lamar Jackson, he felt that perhaps his window was rapidly closing to show that he still got it. And yeah, I mean, with the way they've been playing on both sides of the ball, the Ravens have kind of looked like the class of that division so far, apart from that Thursday night hiccup against Cincinnati. So yeah, I mean, with Cleveland, they just haven't shown the capacity to close out games this season. And although they're definitely much improved, this is a tough matchup for them. So I like the Ravens to go to 4-1.
Listen, I don't disagree with where you guys are coming from. I just think that there's something crazy going on.
There's something in the water in
exactly.
Cleveland?
They opened the coolers, so I don't know if it's water, but there's definitely something flowing in Cleveland, and I just don't see the Ravens pulling it out. I see the Browns really giving them the upset this week and giving that fan base even something bigger to root for and to cheer about. So I'm not knocking the Ravens. Obviously, everybody here, if you guys have been listening the last couple of weeks, I hate Joe Flacco. They're playing very well, but I think the Browns pull off the upset this week. And with that one, we're going to move on to the Dolphins and the Bengals. Bengals are at home this week. We have the Bengals, all three of us. They're the favorites. They're playing real well right now. They put up a lot of points this week. Pulled off a last-minute squeaker win, and I think they're really going to smoke the Dolphins here.
How quickly the tide turns in the NFL. I mean,
no pun intended, because it's the Dolphins.
Very clever. Yes.
Turns.
Well, they might drown in this game as long as we're going with water puns.
Very true. The Dolphins are also short another offensive lineman. I'll be honest, I'm completely blanking out on his name right now, but they one of their offensive linemen is out with an injury, so they're missing him also.
If this game was home for Miami, I think that I might favorite them just because I think that these two teams are interchangeable. But the fact that it's in Cincinnati and that Cincinnati just got off a big win at Atlanta, I think that Cincinnati's going to be the hot team here, and I think that they're going to stay hot and beat the Dolphins.
Think about it. You've got a warm weather team going all the way to Cincinnati. The calendar is flipped to October. You've got that physical AFC North brand of football. The weather's starting to get a little bit colder. I think that this environment, this atmosphere, and the momentum favor Cincinnati in this game. And yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's just that gruff and tough team that's going to hit you in the mouth. And after the performance that Tannehill had against the Patriots last week, I mean, that wasn't that encouraging. But yeah, I see them having a tough time. And this is a game that I could see Miami hanging around early, but could get away from them late. I could see Cincy winning by 2 scores.
Yeah, definitely. And they have the weapons right now. You know, I mean, AJ Green, even though he's been iffy and questionable almost every week, he's put up some big numbers, and they're throwing the ball, they're scoring the points, they're doing what they have to do to win these games. To edit myself on that last comment about their offensive lineman being out, Daniel Kilgore is out with a tricep injury. That is the center on the Dolphins. So you're losing a offensive lineman to protect Tannehill, who already had not the greatest game on the planet last week, and that's not going to help against a Bengals defense that's been playing decently well. So
yeah, on top of that, guys, this is a Dolphins-Bengals game in October, and one of these teams is going to 4-1.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
What is the NFL this year?
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of what is the NFL this year, we have the Panthers and the Giants. This week's matchup is a Sunday game. The Panthers are at home against the Giants.
With extra rest.
Yeah, with extra rest. We all have the Panthers in this one. I think I just convinced Jared by yelling at him about how stupid he was for picking the Giants against the Saints.
You have the Panthers here, Jared.
I cannot, in all good faith, pick the Giants to win this game after what I saw against the Saints. However, I will say this. Dave Gettleman, coming from Carolina, didn't exactly leave on the best terms. You've got to believe that this entire offseason he's been relaying the message. If there's one game that you guys are going to really take care of business this season, it's got to be this game. Beating my former team in their building. You know there's nothing more he wants to see. And you've got Mike Shula, offensive coordinator, who knows this team. So, again, I cannot in good faith pick the Giants to win this game based on what I saw against New Orleans and the offensive ineptitude at home. However, this is a game where it could really keep their season alive, and the motivation has to be there, or else they're looking at a potentially top 5 draft pick again.
I was gonna say,
honestly, I'm not that mad about it.
If they lose this game, they go to 1-4.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's almost season over.
Yes, however,
that's a worse record than the Browns.
For most teams, 1-3 would be a season over. However, you look at the state of this division.
Why do you say that?
Because it's a huge hole to fall behind early, but however, there has been no top contender to emerge out of the NFC East. So although they're 1-3, they're only one game behind the Cowboys and the Eagles right now. So it's salvageable. They did start 2-3 2 years ago, but the winning has to start now. 1-4 is no good. 2-3, you've got a pulse.
We will move on to the Falcons and the Steelers. I have the Falcons in this one. You guys have the Steelers. What do you guys got?
Yeah, the Steelers are at home. Falcons' defense has been terrible.
The Steelers hasn't been much better, though.
These teams both have the same problem.
Yeah, but the Steelers are at home. I think Big Ben throws for 400 yards.
What stops Matt Ryan from doing it? Because he's been doing it multiple games in a row now.
Well, he did that last week, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it hasn't been enough yet.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I don't know. I got the Falcons in this one. I just see them outscoring the Steelers. I think that I think that they just have more weapons than the Steelers do, honestly, and maybe a little bit of rejuvenation knowing that Le'Veon Bell will come back will bump the Steelers over the Falcons, but I see them pulling this one off with the win.
I can't see Pittsburgh losing 2 games at home in a row. That would be just detrimental.
Well, I wouldn't have said that about Atlanta either, but that just happened. So
will Atlanta win or lose 3 in a row? Like,
I have been really torn because here's the thing. That's why I've been so torn about this game, because you go back and forth on both sides. Like, oh, are the Steelers going to drop consecutive games at home? Are the Falcons going to lose 3 games in a row? Neither one of those situations makes sense, but one of them's got to happen. And this is the converse of the Dolphins-Bengals game, because here you've got the Falcons and Steelers. One team is going to 1-4, or one team's going to 1-3-1. So you never would have expected that, but again, this could be a death sentence for the loser. So this could be a crazy game because, again, winner's got a pulse, loser's in big trouble here.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one
big
to watch. You're
trouble.
Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Another barn burner shootout.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm with you, Chase, but I just think the same argument applies whichever team you go with. So on that note, I'm leaning toward the Steelers, maybe because they're at home, but man, both teams need this game so badly.
I don't know. I got the Falcons in this one.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's honestly the toughest game of the week to pick.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Very good. Titans at Bills. Who do we got?
We got the Titans.
I have the annoying Titans.
Seriously.
The annoying Titans.
Somehow they're going to scrape one out again.
Yep. And you know
They'll
what?
Score 12 points and still win.
You know what's funny? Last week I said that you never see Marcus Mariota throw for over 300 yards. What does he go out and do? Throws for over 300 yards. Yeah, just to stick it to me. That's right, Marcus. If you're listening to this podcast right now, I know you did that to spite me.
Well, with the new coaching, the revamp of the coaching staff in Tennessee, I think that the play calling this season should fit to Mariota's strong suit more than it has in the past. So he could be in for a career year, and this is, of course, a favorable opponent to excel against. The Bills haven't shown anything this year outside of that. What's looking like an anomaly win against, they just kind of caught Minnesota sleeping. So,
which I think we all said was the case.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, they got caught looking ahead, and then you look ahead, and then you lose 2 in a row. So that wasn't good for Minnesota. And I think the Titans are going to win here. I mean, they've certainly shown they've been able to pull these games out in the fourth quarter, and this should be a game where they, you would think they would be carrying a lead going into the fourth quarter. So we'll see how that pans out.
Raiders at Chargers. We all got the Chargers in this one. Raiders, granted, they squeaked that win out last week. They're still not playing very well. They put up a lot of points, but their defense is atrocious. That whole, it's really hard to find a good pass rusher in this league. Yeah, well, you gave yours up, and now you're giving up 45 points to the Browns. Will they stop the Chargers at home? Probably not.
No, this one's going to be another shootout, I think.
But will the Chargers stop Oakland?
That's exactly why I said that. I got the Chargers here, and I think that they have more talent on the offensive and defensive side. I know that they're going to be missing Joey Bosa. He's still out for, I think the consensus was
couple more weeks.
Yeah, week 8, week 9. So I think that they're going to miss him, obviously, but I think that, you got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams, who looks great. You got Melvin Gordon.
Keenan Allen's not playing that well this year, though.
He's doing enough. And we said the same thing last year, and then he goes off in the last 5 weeks. He's a wide receiver 1 for the rest of the year.
He's on my fantasy team, and I've been waiting for the breakout performance, and it really just hasn't come. The offense has mostly been the Melvin Gordon show, and I will say this. For all the mistakes that Carr's made, and he's made a lot of them, he's leading the league in interceptions right now, he's gotten more yardage and production out of his receivers than Rivers has gotten out of his this year, as far as the total package. And it really has to do with Keenan Allen underperforming. So I'm expecting a lot of points here, but it goes back to what I just said about Carr. He does make more mistakes, so I think that's going to cost Oakland in the end. But really, I see at this rate the Chargers are going to go maybe around 8-8, give or take a game, and they're going to be in a lot of 35 to 28 type situations. Sometimes it's going to go their way, sometimes it's going to go their opponent's way. I'm going to say it's going to go their way here.
No doubt about that. Rams Seahawks. We all have the Rams in this one. Seems like we're agreeing on most of these games. We'll have a couple arguments coming up in the next few minutes here, but Rams Seahawks. We all got the Rams. Seahawks losing Earl Thomas. not really looking like the greatest team under the sun. Rams are undefeated, looking like the greatest team under the sun. I think we got the Rams coming in.
And they've got extra rest.
Yeah, and they got extra rest. I think we all have the Rams coming into Seattle and sticking it to the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I think that the Rams are pretty much just going to do business as usual. I know Seattle's a tough place to play in, but the Rams have way too much power going on offense and defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw another 30, 40 points off on the board. We got Cooper Kupp, you got Todd Gurley, and Jared Goff is playing out of his mind this year. I think that he's really come to form as an elite quarterback, and that's really exciting to see for the new, the second-year head coach, but to really see what he can do with Jared Goff and the offense. I think that they're pretty much going to be the team to beat this year.
I know we already I was already crucified for clinging to the Seahawks of yesteryear, but this really would have been a heck of a game if you had the Seahawks from a few years ago versus the Rams of today. That being said, I do think Seattle is going to keep this a little bit closer than expected because it goes back to what I said about the game against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. At this part of the season, the Seahawks, I know most people think they're not making the playoffs, but at this part of the season, they're still in the thick of the hunt, and the fans believe. The 12th man, I think, will be alive and well here, although in the second half, I see the Rams pulling away considerably. They just outclassed the Seahawks far too much on both sides of the ball to drop this one. Although rivalry games are tough, if the Seahawks are going to pull off a crazy upset like this, it's going to be at home. I don't see it, but I think the game will be close.
Cardinals 49ers. This one's a tough one. I got the Niners winning this one at home. You guys got the Cardinals. Give me your thoughts, because I just don't see the Cardinals walking into the 49ers stadium and winning here. Even with the backup quarterback, the 49ers just look a little better than the Cardinals do.
I think that Josh Rosen is going to be getting his first win this week, and I think that he looks better than obviously Sam Bradford did, but I think that I could probably go out there, put on a uniform, and look better than Sam Bradford did to start the year.
Well, look better or play better? Because you definitely don't look better.
Play better then.
There you go.
Maybe look better, depending on who you ask. But yeah, no, I think Josh Rosen's definitely improved the offense immensely, and David Johnson finally looked like the David Johnson that he used to look like. Finally,
before the ACL.
Yes, it was not an ACL. It was his wrist. And yes, I think that they are going to be clicking on all cylinders. The Cardinals are against a weak 49ers defense. I would say play your Cardinals if you got them.
Well, to answer your question, Austin, my thoughts on this game are that the 49ers front office should post up an ad on Craigslist offering to pay people $50 to sit and watch this game and fill up the stadium, because I don't see how anyone could possibly care about this game that means absolutely nothing. Both these teams, the 49ers season is gone.
It's early. It's not like these teams are eliminated from playoffs.
They have been eliminated from the playoffs already. I don't know if you saw, when Jimmy Garoppolo went down with injury, the 49ers were already eliminated from the playoffs, and the Cardinals didn't have a hope when the season started. So, yeah, I do agree, Chase. I think that Josh Rosen is going to get his first win. I think this is a weak 49ers unit that they played better than expected against the Chargers, but I also think they kind of expended all their energy in that game. And the Cardinals have actually been playing some pretty solid defense, considering that they lost pieces in the offseason. I think that that'll be enough for them to get the win here over a rival, even though it's on the road. I think Rosen will get it done.
Moving on to the Eagles and the Vikings. Eagles at home. Vikings coming into Philly. I got the Vikings. Jared's got the Vikings. Chase, what's with the Eagles pick?
Yeah, what's with the Eagles, man?
What's with the Eagles? It's that the Vikings stink.
The Eagles stink. This is mediocrity versus mediocrity.
And I don't mean that.
Which is sad, because, this is a Super Bowl winner versus
this is the NFC Championship rematch.
Yeah,
by the way, that game stunk too.
Potentially Super Bowl contender. And no one cares about this game.
I know, people care about it.
It's irrelevant.
The game's in Philly. Listen, the Vikings and the Eagles both got off to a rough start. Let's not forget the Eagles started with Nick Foles as their quarterback for 2 weeks, okay?
Nick Foles, the same guy that led them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it wasn't playoff Super Bowl.
He played well enough in those. So
he's got two different masks that he puts on. He got two different pairs of underwear. That one day this is my winning Super Bowl underwear. This is my I'm going to play every other game underwear. And so they had to deal with
the
Foles.
mystery's finally been solved, folks.
And Alshon Jeffrey's been out. And Jay Ajayi was hurt for
Alshon Jeffrey just came back and
games.
they couldn't beat the Titans. So
Titans are legit. We just talked about this. The Titans are 3-1. It's not like this is a layup.
They're annoyingly good.
Yes, annoyingly good. Either way, I'm not giving up on the Eagles yet, and honestly, I'm not giving up on the Vikings either. They had a couple tough losses. The Buffalo game was just absolutely a fluke. And then
Joe Fluco.
They tie the Packers at home or at Lambeau, and they lose to the Rams. I mean, these teams are both good teams. I think that you're going to see them at the end playing for a playoff spot, but I will take the Eagles at home.
I don't know. I'm taking the Vikings. I'm going to stick with the Eagles don't make the playoffs this year prediction from before the season started.
I'm also going to take the Vikings in this game. I think that the pressure is absolutely on Minnesota. Although the Eagles at 2-2 aren't off to the greatest start in the world, they've got a little bit more wiggle room in their division because it's been mediocrity abound with the Cowboys and the Giants, and the Redskins look like they're on their way to a loss this week. So with the Vikings, they really cannot afford to fall further behind the Packers and the Bears. And not to mention they've got a little bit of extra rest coming into this game, and they just have too much talent on offense. I mean, Kirk Cousins has absolutely improved this offense, their passing game, and with the weapons, I just can't see this team only having one win through 5 games. You know, they've got to pick it up, and this is the week where their season could be over if they lose. So I think that they're going to rise to the occasion.
Very good. And on that, we're going to move to the Cowboys and the Texans.
This is the Sunday night game, really?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Lame.
I probably won't watch this one. But again, as every pick that I've had with the Texans this year, because for some ungodly reason, I still have thought that maybe they'll make the playoffs if they win out.
Because you got to have faith. The faith. No, listen, the Texans, they still got a shot. Everybody needs to, as Aaron Rodgers would say, RELAX.
Even in this division, though, because we just said that the Titans are likely going to 4-1 this week, and the Jaguars are 3-1 right now. You really think the Texans still got a shot playing in this division?
Of course they do. Everybody's still got a shot. Listen, all that matters is that you get into a groove, right? It's kind of like NBA. The NBA, it's a game of runs. If the Texans can figure it out, and I honestly think that this mess up by the Colts head coach could be the defining moments for the Texans because they finally get that win. They finally know what it feels like to beat a division opponent. And now they're going to go out there. They're going to play the Cowboys. It's not in the division, but a very beatable opponent. Mm-hmm. And I think that they can definitely walk away with this win.
It's definitely a beatable opponent. I do think the Texans are going to win this game just because their offense has so much more upside than the Cowboys do. You saw, the game against the Lions. They barely eked it out when Zeke just balled out of his mind because, again, the Cowboys are so limited in what they can do in the passing game because, I mean, I'm not trying to, poo-poo on Dak Prescott too much, but because he's in a...
Ew! Did you hold out your pinky when you said that? I didn't want to pee-poo. Frenchie throwing the white flag,
listen, I was trying to be polite when I really want to crucify this team. But, yeah, the Cowboys, they just seem to have such a low ceiling offensively, and... this matchup on the road against a pretty desperate Texans team, again, it goes back to the Vikings-Eagles thing where I think that the Texans, their season could absolutely be over if they fall to 1-4 in this division. So I think the pressure's going to be on them to get this done at home in prime time. I could see Watson having a pretty huge game here, finally, really linking up with Hopkins for a big game. So, yeah, I think Houston will go to 2-3 here.
And we're going to move on to the Saints and the Redskins.
Game is in the Superdome, primetime, Monday night.
Yeah, I think we're all at a consensus here. The Saints are going to come out and stomp on the Redskins. Saints just looking good, winning some games, putting up some big points. Redskins are not looking like the greatest team.
Well, the Redskins were on a bye, and they are
coming off a 2-score win over the Packers.
Yeah, they just beat the Packers.
But that was at home.
I think that this could still be a game. Let's not forget, Alex Smith kind of always plays everybody close. He's a very serviceable quarterback. They still got Adrian Peterson that they can ground and pound with. They got the Chris Thompson, so if they get behind, he could really be a versatile guy. Wide receivers-wise, not much happening there, but then they got Jordan Reed, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a close game at all.
Well, here's the thing. There's a high likelihood that at home, the Redskins are going to fall behind early to the Saints. Now, what happens when you get behind early and you're playing catch-up? You try to throw the ball very, very frequently. And if you look at Alex Smith's track record, when he's had to throw the ball more than 40 times a game, he's been less successful. This offense, if it's going to succeed, it's going to be with Adrian Peterson absolutely going to town against the opposing defense, and then Smith can sit back and play in more of that game manager role that he's been comfortable in throughout his career. I don't think this is the right matchup for that. I don't see the game going that way. Maybe if it was at home, it would be a different story, especially, if it's later in the season, the cold weather in Washington. But this is at home. This is the Saints' bread and butter, prime time, Superdome. It's going to be loud in there. Breeze is going to feed off that energy. I see the Saints putting up a lot of points.
Yeah, I got the Saints here too.
No doubt about that. And with that, we are going to move on to our most enjoyable segment of the show. Jared, you want to kick this one off?
Well, it can only be time for the moment of the week.
Jace, you want to go first?
Yeah, I got one outside of the football spectrum and outside of the baseball spectrum. I'm going to bring you one from golf. That's right. The Ryder Cup was this weekend, and unfortunately, the USA lost to Team Europe, and Europe brought back the trophy back home. However, something very interesting happened. A guy by the name of Brooks Koepka, a PGA professional, might I add, that it plays golf, 12, 20 times a week, never leaves the range, actually shanks a shot on the tee shot, hits a pedestrian and none other than a beautiful woman right in the eye, and it was a gruesome show. And I'm just looking at Brooks like, how do you do that, man? How do you shank your tee shot and hit a beautiful woman like that? It's just, come on, man.
Did he at least sign his glove for her?
Yeah, they do that.
Because, when Phil smoked that kid like 6 months ago, at least he went over there and signed a bunch of stuff.
That's what the professionals do. They give you some stuff and maybe give you a tour of the rooms that they hang out in, which I'm sure he was glad to do.
I'm sure he did. Yeah, we won't get into that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've played golf a handful of times. For those who aren't aware, Chase is an avid golfer. It's what he does for a career. He's very good on the golf course. So he knows a thing or two about the PGA side of things. Maybe when we get into some bigger PGA tournaments, we'll have him on to talk about those also. But yeah, I mean, the fact that a professional hits a ball that bad, I mean, we're all human. It's like, oh yeah,
this was an utter shank.
It's like Judge when 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, or some quarterback threw 3 interceptions. But I mean, he absolutely smoked this thing straight into the crowd and smoked this girl right in the face. It was bad. It was bad.
I hope that she's okay.
All right, Jared, we're going to move on to your moment. What do you got?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I just found something online moments ago. I have to make this my moment. Kyrie Irving, everyone, has apologized for saying that the earth is flat. He said he didn't realize the effect that his comments would have. He was recording a podcast on an airplane in, I believe it was February 2017. He said he was big into conspiracy theories at the time.
Hold on. What you're telling me is he was on an airplane.
Correct.
And he couldn't see the fact that the earth was a little round.
Yeah, I guess when he was recording this podcast, he didn't look out the window. And here are the comments, folks. The earth is flat. The earth is flat. It's right in front of our faces. I'm telling you, it's right in front of our faces. They lie to us. Science lies to us.
I'm no scientist, however.
Physics, the atmosphere.
I am dating and will be marrying one in the near future, and she would vouch for the fact that gravity would not be the same thing if the earth was flat. So all you flat earthers, grow up. And you live on a circle.
And that goes out to people like you, Flip Gordon. I know you're a flat earther.
Calling out the Flip Gordon.
I've got a knuckle sandwich waiting for if we ever have a rematch.
All right, that's about enough of that.
Flip, if you're listening, chop him again.
No.
I'm gonna move on to my moment of the week, and we're gonna stick with the football realm. I know we went with basketball, with golf, but I'm gonna go with the Colts. The Colts going for it on 4th down in a tie game in overtime to lose the game to the Texans. I'm sorry, Chase reiterated it before. A tie sucks. I get it. But you do realize that a loss is a loss, a win is a win, and a tie is not a loss. It might stink a little bit. It might not help, but there's other teams that have tied, and you're the Colts. So maybe 1-2-1 wouldn't look as bad as 1-3. I'm just being completely honest. I don't know. I don't like to tie, but I also don't like to lose. You probably would have had a better shot if you just punted the thing away. Maybe you get a fumble on the punt. Maybe you get a pickoff on the next throw. The game's still tied. You gave it to him on like your 40-yard line or something, give or take a couple yards, and you're just going to give the ball away like that? I mean, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, but you can't be going for that kind of thing. And to then go into an interview and say 10 out of 10 times you would go for that.
That's a lie right there.
I mean, that's an absolute lie.
That's a coach just tried not to get in trouble.
10 out of 10 times I'm going to go for it on 4th down on my 40 to lose the game on purpose. Get out of here, man. Unless you bet on yourself losing, Pete Rose, you should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on, man. You can't be giving the ball up on the 40-yard line in a tie game. Not at 1-2. You got to try to go for the win, or at least a minimum a tie. 1-3 looks bad.
And I've just got to say this before we segue away from football. My original moment was going to be the Buccaneers' embarrassing meltdown performance against the Bears. But you know something? I was looking for potential replacements for that after I selected it, because Dirk Cutter, to his credit, as I said earlier in the program, absolutely owned it, pulled no punches. So you know what? I kind of respect the fact that he didn't try to put a mask on it or try to cover for his team's ineptitude in any way. Doesn't excuse it, but it goes a little bit of a way. It doesn't go unnoticed.
And with that, we are going to
wrap it up.
Wrap it up here. We'll give you one more update. We have 1 minute and 21 seconds left in the third quarter of this Denver-Kansas City game. Right now, Kansas City's got the ball, but they are losing 20-13.
Woohoo!
Yeah, go Broncos, says Chase. Sarah, however, just walked in the door and gave him the dirtiest look on the planet, wants him to leave our house now. So she's a Kansas City fan. There's about 38 seconds left. Like I said, 20-13 in the third quarter. With that, we are going to wrap this episode up. So as always, check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are live on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on our Libsyn website. Please give us a review, comment on our Facebook, message us on Facebook with any thoughts, comments, concerns, where you're listening. We'd love to hear if you're listening on iTunes.
We need your input on the Wheel of Punishment, folks, or it's not going to happen.
Please check out our Facebook. We're going to put up the Wheel of Punishment for these bets and these predictions.
We didn't have one this week.
Which one you want to go with, guys? Who are we going with? Who's the closest one that's not the dead giveaway? What do we say? Falcons.
We'll do Vikings Eagles. That was the one that gave us the most controversy.
All right, Vikings Eagles. Yeah. We'll go with Vikings Eagles.
So I got the Eagles. You boys got the Vikings.
We do have the Vikings.
Yep, that's true.
So somebody's gonna get it.
Yeah. So if the Vikings win, Chase will have to do something, and if the Eagles win, me and Jared will also have to do whatever you guys vote.
And if it ends in a tie, then we're all gonna have to do it.
We're all gonna pay. So, and again, to a certain extent, we're not gonna do anything ridiculous. I'm not chopping my arm off or anything. So give us some thoughts and some feedback. Maybe throw tomatoes at each other, or I don't know, do something ridiculous.
Also, share the podcast with your friends, right? We got to spread the word. This is a good podcast. We got something going here.
We sure do.
If you like it, share it. If you don't like it, tell us why you don't like it.
Yeah, please. We're always up to feedback and comments, concerns. If you are enjoying it, give us a review on iTunes and Spotify. That's going to really grow the community and the listeners, and our Instagram and our Facebook. Share it. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the troll under the bridge, whoever you want to tell. Let them know that we're here, that we're talking about football, we're talking about baseball. Like I said, maybe we'll get in some other sports. Hockey's coming up sometime soon. We might bring another special guest in who's a hockey analyst. So we may bring him in sometime soon to talk
Nothing's
about
off
hockey.
Limits, including squirrel water skiing and, of course, the ADAA Dodgeball Las Vegas tournament. So
there we go. The Average Joe's. Is that copyright? I think
I've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we do.
All right, guys. On that note, we are called to the bullpen. Like I said, check us out. Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff. We're on almost every social media and every podcast, hosting everything, everywhere. Give us a listen. Give us a like. Let us know what you're thinking. Jared?
With that, this has been Call to the Bullpen.
And we are hanging up.